Hey everybody, welcome to another Weegamers video. This is going to be a bit of a crammed one tonight. Memoir 44, game we really love, you might notice. But we keep stopping and starting with what we're doing because we just get distracted. There's so much going on, life and other things. There is a couple of videos that we have done already. They'll be tagged on at the end of this one if you want to refresh yourself with those. But tonight we're going to go through several of the expansion packs. Now these are all pre-loved already, okay? Because getting new ones is getting harder and harder. The alleged reprints seem to come and go and not be there, and sometimes they are, whatever. And sometimes some of these expansions can be going for quite considerably more than RRP due, presumably, to their shortage. Very hard to know whether it's something you need or not. And whilst there's a lot of really good groups you can go onto and you get a lot of opinions, sometimes seeing the thing helps you decide whether it's something you really want or not. So we're going to look at this one, we're going to look at Eastern Front, we're going to look at Mediterranean Theatre, the Terrain Pack and Winter Wars. We'll also take a look at the Breakthrough boards and the Winter Desert boards. That kind of covers a large bulk of it and pretty much joins on with what we've already covered in our videos, which you can check out at the links at the end of this one. So, Pacific Theatre. This is just the empty little casing, keep it light. You can see, looking at the back of this, you're going to get some new terrain tiles, you're going to get some tokens, but you also get a full Japanese army. That consists of 48 infantry, 12 tanks, and 6 anti-aircraft guns. So basically, kind of a start army, similar to what you would get in the core box. From my own point of view, and having played a lot of the games, I don't find one of these tends to be just enough. If you can get your hands on 2 of these for Pacific Theatre games, especially if you're going to do Overlord maps and stuff, you're probably wise to take them if you're able to get them at a good price, okay? There's obviously the new rules for the Japanese force, 44 double-sided terrain tiles, 10 round markers, 4 obstacles, 14 new Special Forces badges and 8 scenarios. So if you like, this is like half, more than half of a starter box, minus a board, minus another force. You're getting scenarios, you get the tokens, you're getting terrain tiles and all the rest of it. Very much tailored, obviously, for the Pacific Theatre. So, inside the box. Now, I've tried to put this back together as nicely as I can to kind of give you that effect of what you would see opening the box yourself. So we get our rule booklet in English and French. We have the card that is for, this is for sort of nighttime and daytime, dawn. You can have battles that the time changes as it goes, and that therefore increases the range of the units and their ability to combat, which is very nice as well. And then we have the goodies. We've got our army box, and we've got our tiles. Now, I know what you're all like. You want to see the army first. So, there is our little infantry peoples. They are as good as the core set ones. We'll try and have a little picture coming up on the screen somewhere about here of a close-up for you. And obviously they're all the same pose as well. And then our little tanks and anti-aircraft guns are tucked up really tight on here. The tanks are dinky. And again, little picture of a close-up there for you. And the anti-aircraft, which I think are quite pretty. I think they're a little bit nicer than the base game ones. And again, picture. So you don't have to strain your eyes and zoom in. Okay, so we got a big box of fighty people. Now, kind of cool stuff for your scenarios and the like is these bits and bobs. These boxes never want to stay open. So token wise, you've got quite a range of stuff in this one. We've got battleships, we've got camouflage bunkers, Nord battleship, bunker on the back, but I think they're all got an aircraft carrier there, and we've got a wooden bridge and a covered bunker. So they're all covered bunkers on the other side. We have a host of Special Forces tokens, and we've got more minefield tokens. If you remember those, we've got the targeters for the battleships, things like that there. Got our little minefield tokens, and then, as I say, there's an absolute host of more Special Forces tokens, all again double-sided. That's the one thing that makes storage of Memoir 44 outside of its own box is a little bit awkward, because everyone runs into the problem of how do you divide out the tokens, because there's no kind of uniform pattern as to what is on the other sides of the tokens. The problems we have to cope with, isn't it shocking? So our forest this time is a much denser jungle forest, obviously. And we have paddy fields. Nicely done. Got sort of sandy shoreline, and we have a compound camp, prison camp. First aid tent, and in this one you can actually get your troops into these and restore some very valuable wounds. Got a little village. I'm only going to shout out when it's something kind of different. Little sort of tent compound. Little airstrip with little planes on it. River. Now we'll have to check the terrain guide. I think it's just a shallow ditch, sort of a little like emplacement, but I can't remember the proper name of it off the top of my head. There's an awful lot of them to try and remember, to be fair. So we got our mountains. We've got mountains with caves, and in this set of scenarios, you can have situations where if there's caves on the map, you can disappear your units into one, and in another range bring them out. That's impassable with caves, like tanks that can't pass it because it's like snowy topped. Big sharp one. Big sharp one. I'm sure there's a better term than that, you know. Nor airfield one, little plane taken off there. I think we've probably hit all the variations that this one's going to throw at us. The hospital and the prison, I think, were the big ones. Got a jetty there, impassable mountain, nor a couple of airfields, quite a few airfields actually. Got a river mouth coming out to the ocean. Cool. So rulebook wise then, and I think most of these sort of rules and scenarios you can pull off the website anyway, so you can have a read at these online anyhow. Yep, mountains with caves, got beaches. Effects. Labour camp is the little sort of prison compound. Pacific village, river mouth, pier, rice paddies, trenches. Yep, they were trenches. And then we have our new rules: Imperial Japanese Army command rules, US Marine Corps command rules. So basically, there's a whole host of little kind of cool things that happens here that's different from the base game. The Yamato concept, but just read these so I get these right for you. Japanese infantry units must always ignore the first flag rolled against them. When on terrain or an obstacle hex that already ignores a flag, Japanese infantry must ignore the first 2 flags rolled against them in any given dice roll. Finally, Japanese infantry inside caves must ignore all flag rolls rolled against them. You think that's kind of awesome. Trust me, there's times when you wish you could retreat your men. Nor one of the doctrines there is Japanese infantry units at full strength carrying out a close assault with 1 additional battle dice. This bonus only applies when the unit is in close assault combat and with its initial figure count, usually 4 figures, intact. The Banzai Water battle cry. An ordered Japanese infantry unit may move 2 hexes and still battle when carrying out a close assault on an enemy unit. Terrain and movement battle restrictions still apply. Japanese infantry unit ordered by an infantry assault command card may move 2 hexes and battle during a Banzai charge, but it may not move 3 hexes in battle. And then the US Marine Corps command rules. Whenever a section card is played, the US Marine player may activate 1 more unit than is indicated by his card. If the card shows more than 1 section activated, the player may choose which of these sections they activate their additional unit. All tactic cards that normally activate 4 units activate 5 instead, and those that activate 1 activate 2 instead. Other tactics, air power, artillery bombard, barrage, close assault, infantry assault, and their finest hour remain unchanged. When the US Marine player counterattacks an applicable Japanese command card, the US Marine player activates 1 more unit than his Japanese counterpart did. In the opposite case, when the Japanese player counteracts a US Marine command card, he activates only the number of units marked on the card. So we have the rules there then for night attacks and how that works. New medals and battle star tokens. Camouflage, new obstacles and warships. So we've got the field bunkers, the rope bridges, warship destroyers and the range that they've got, which is quite nice. And the aircraft carriers. And then the new special forces badges. We've got the Chindits, Japanese elites, Japanese, British and US combat engineers, US Marines, mobile artillery, flamethrower tanks, and big guns and crosshair targeting markers. So the big guns are fixed artillery with a better range, so they work at 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then you throw down the target marker if you get a hit, and it's 1 easier to get a crack at. Next time when the big gun battery fires at a hex with a crosshair marker, the big gun battery rolls an additional die. It has found the range and zeroed in the target. Crosshair markers are not cumulative. Big word for this time of night. And then our missions. So we got Wake Island here, Matakini River, Slopes of Mouse Austin, Guam Landings, Japanese counterattack, that's a tight map. The Pilu Landings, probably getting that wrong. But there you can see that's one of the Overlord maps. So double board, you know, having them boards and having those extra models, very handy. The Meat Grinder, Sugarloaf and Half Moon. There we go. And the new figures, just a little bit about them there as well. A little bit of this sort of factual history on them too. So there we go. That is, in a nutshell, the Pacific Theatre box. So, the Eastern Front pack. Probably one of my most used and most favourite expansion packs for Memoir 44. Particularly like the scenarios and the style of play that the Eastern Front brings to the game. This time again, a lot of new stuff. We've got a whole host of new tiles, terrain tiles here. Obviously, a lot of them are going to have that winter theme, so the winter board, very nice. But you know what? In the early days, we played it on the green boards and just used the tiles. You use what you got. If you can get a spare baseboard, you could always kind of model it with paint and make your own snowboard. But anyway, I digress. It's not a hobby video, it's an unboxing. So what have we got this time? A complete Russian army set including 42 Russian soldiers, 24 T-34 tanks, and 6 Z15, it's too small to read, 6 ZIS 3 guns, there we go. Political Commissar chip, more on that later. 44 double-sided terrain tiles including ruins, ravines, frozen rivers, marshes and snowy forests. 10 round markers including Soviet medals, minefields and battle stars, 4 obstacles including Dragon's Teeth and snowed-in bunkers, 14 special unit badges, including combat engineers, cavalry, snipers, and ski troopers. 8 historical scenarios from Finland to Stalingrad and from Operation Typhoon to Barbarossa. Also includes Kursk in Overlord format. New rules including the infamous political commissar rule. So we've got our rulebook. We've got our box of soldiers. We've got our box of tiles and tokens. And we have our other rulebook. And we've got a stray tank. Ooh. So again, we'll kick off with the toys. Since there's one already in the box, let's have a look at the T-34. And let's get a photograph of that, so that you can see it a bit closer up as well. Okay? Nice, chunky tanks. And there's our field guns this time round. And again, photograph. Because then you get to see it a little bit better. Those are nice too. I think all of the expansion pack guns have been better than the base set guns. And then we've got our infantry. And yes, there's a photograph. So there we go. And no jokes about them all having rifles. Okay, they've all got rifles. Simple as that. So there is our commissar chip. And it's like a poker chip. Very nice. That's kind of metalized. It's kind of got like almost like a hologrammy effect going on with it. It's quite cute. Our big tokens this time round are the likes of the Dragon's Teeth and the Snowy Bunkers. And then obviously again, shed load more tokens like the Cavalry token, things like that there. Now, Cavalry. There's a reason to reprint the expansion of the equipment pack. But yeah, Cavalry, they just pretend they're mounted. Okay, it's nice to have people on horses, but we can't all have that. And card-wise, let's have a little look, because these are really quite nice. I'm very fond of these ones. I actually think we need them all out because it's not as if there's a never-ending supply of variations. So we've got our damaged buildings here, a little sort of village, frozen river, frozen forest, lots of frozen forests. There's those ravines that they're talking about. They are a pain. Yes, they are. And there's some of the ruins for when you're doing the likes of Stalingrad and stuff. And we've got our little frozen mountains. Everything's frozen. Everything. Village and a frozen mountain. Factory. And trust me, fighting through factories in this, fighting people that are in factories in this is tight. Every last man counts. Frozen marsh, frozen rivers, and I think, in all honesty, that pretty much counts for everything. Just have a quick scan through here in case there's any that we've missed telling you about. But I don't think we have, to be honest. The big ravine. Why, we've got there's the little tracks, and then there's the big ravines. They're the annoying ones. Well, they're all annoying. Fighting in the east, it's not easy. Really not easy. But it adds a totally different pace and flavour. Everything's familiar, and once you've kind of got your head around the couple of new rules, it's a bit, I suppose, like expansions to Ticket to Ride. Everything introduces something new. Once you do, it's gotta say, it's very hard. Not very hard. That's wrong. When the option's there, we tend to lean towards playing scenarios that use the Eastern Front. If kind of nobody's got something particular in mind, because they're always good crack. So you get your little welcome to. Russian villages, winter forest, trenches, city ruins. There's those ravines. Movement impassable to armour and artillery. No movement restrictions for infantry. Battle, no combat restrictions. Infantry moving into a ravine hex may ignore the first flag rolled against it. Line of sight. Ravine does not block line of sight. Infantry army that moves into a trench hex must stop, may not move for that turn. A trench is impassable to artillery. Battle, an army unit in a trench may not battle. When battling an enemy unit that is on a trench hex, infantry and armour reduce the number of battle dice rolled by 1, and artillery battle dice are not reduced. City ruins, by default city ruins have the same effect as town and village hex. In addition, a unit on a city ruin hex may ignore the first flag rolled against it. Only infantry units may enter city ruin hexes. So there's your commissar rules. We say the Blitz rules now come into this as well. Scenarios occurring in the early years of World War II often use Blitz rules. Axis player may play Recon 1 as an air power tactic card in that section. At least one target hex must be in that section. Target a group of 4 for your enemy units. GSHR roll 1 battle dice per hex. Armour movement is amended as follows. An ordered Axis armour unit may move up to 3 hexes in battle, while an ordered Allied armour unit may only move 2 hexes in battle. New medal, Hero of the Soviet Union. Battle stars, camouflage, new obstacles, new badges, combat engineers, cavalry, Russian elites, Finnish ski troopers. And then we're into the missions. There we go. Got to say, there's none of these that we've played that we've been disappointed, and we've played most of them several times, particularly like that one and that one. That's probably bottom of the list actually. Honey Harry. Village, well, there's no point in me sitting and reading them because you can pull these all online and read them yourselves anyway. And there's our big Overlord one there. See, just looking at this, I almost keep forgetting that we're doing this because I'm kind of looking at this going, yeah, I'd love to just get playing this right now. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I'd like to set that up. Let's have a good. And then like, no, for a start, we're doing a video. Let's finish that first. And secondly, you're here and you're taught. It's a nice one to get if you've been playing the base game for a while. This is a good one to jump to because it suddenly feels like an awful lot changes, and yet an awful lot stays the same. But it's kind of like it revamps you, and it's kind of fresh take. I don't think the changes are as complicated to keep track of as the Pacific Theatre, which is kind of, if I was doing it in a pecking order, I would get this one. Well, supposed to be fair, I would maybe get the Mediterranean one first because it's less of a shift. But if you follow this logic, play the base game until you've kind of done it all enough. Jump into this, you get a sudden change. Pacific Theatre gives you quite a change again, and in a slightly different way. And then if you get the Mediterranean one, you're kind of almost going back to the base game with a few tweaks. But because you've kind of done all the cool stuff in between, it again feels refreshing then, if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. So the Mediterranean Theatre then, this obviously throws the Brits into North Africa, Egypt, that kind of thing, okay? And this is where your desert board would come into it if you've got one. If you don't, again, we've played it on green, and okay, visually it's a little bit less appealing. It still works, it still plays. So, you know, get over it. If you can't get hold of the desert maps, don't get too annoyed. Inside this one, and you're kind of familiar with what you're getting now, you're getting an army. You're getting a whole pile of terrain tiles, you're getting a whole pile of tokens, and you're getting your scenarios as well. So, specifically, you're getting a complete British army, which is 42 British infantrymen, 24 Crusader tanks, 6 25-pound guns, 3 anti-tank weapons. There's a new thing in here. New rules include the stiff upper lip, 44 double-sided terrain tiles, including escarpments, ergs, ridges, coastlines, desert airstrips, HQ, supply tents, oasis, and wadis. So a lot going on there too. 10 round markers, 4 obstacles including desert bunkers and roadblocks, 14 new special forces badges including the British SAS, Royal Engineers and an assortment of Italian badges, and 8 historical scenarios from the tank disaster operation Battle Axe to the relief and the siege of Tobruk, Operation Crusader. 5 scenarios cover the drawn out engagement at the Battle of Gazala. So there we go. And there's that. These are the sort of things that the oft sought, seldom seen equipment pack had oodles of things like ski trips and cavalry and stuff like this, and big guns and all the rest of it. And if you see one of those going, debate whether you really need it or not, to be honest. It's nice, but you know, we can show you what's in one in an hour video. So again, our rulebook, tiles and tokens, our army, and our rulebook in French. So photo opportunity time once more. Bing! Ding! Somewhere. There. There we go. So we got our field guns. Cute. We've got our tankies. Bing! And we've got our Tommies, which I'm not sure about the helmets. They've always felt a little bit disappointed by these. They're just, they kind of look like Germans more than they do Brits, but you know. So tiles. So our big ones this time round are, as I say, things like the roadblocks and our little desert bunkers. Aren't they cute? And then the cool little extra this time is these. Ding! So that goes with your unit to let you know that they've got one. Or you could use one less figure model and have this as a figure so you know it's the last figure, which gives you more men, spreads out your... You're with me. We're on the same ticket. Let's tip these out. We nearly got them all out. Now again, there are lots of repeats here, so we don't need to labour through every single one. But just to give you an idea of the artwork involved in these ones, because it's pretty. Simple, but pretty. Desert roads. Always love the wee desert roads. Desert battles are interesting. They can be quite brutal. Quite often they're tank heavy. They can be a bit slow going too with the ground, unless you get onto the roads. And little bottlenecks seem to form up. And you usually get a clobbering quite quickly too. Some of the scenarios are very swift, very, very simple. You'll be through them like in no time, playing it both ways. Just looking out for any we haven't seen now. Oh yeah, there's a little desert town. And there's our little oasis. I think that pretty much covers us for the terrain break. Oh, the airstrip. Yeah. A couple of desert airstrips. There we go. So yeah, it's nice. I think mileage-wise, the desert probably sees the least play from us at the Bunker Club. And it's not that nobody likes it, but the battles generally do tend to be faster affairs. They are a little bit. I think they are a little bit more brutal, and that's just represented in how quickly it all kind of comes crashing down around you. But we'd like to play, and particularly like to play Warlord battles as well. And I don't know, I think it's kind of like, it's always the third choice to play a desert scenario. So I don't know if you see it at a good price. Yes, it's a nice expansion, but it's not one that I would race to get out of kind of excitement. It's almost more of a completeness sake. I feel like I'm underselling it, but I think you'll definitely find more depth and longevity out of the Pacific Theatre and out of the Eastern Front faster than you will out of the Mediterranean Theatre. And that's I think, the most honest kind of take on it. And bear in mind, we'd love Memoir 44. Ruly booky wise. Got a little forward and all again. Fair bit going on. A lot of explanation on the terrain tiles here. On this one, supply tents and what they do, airfields, the wadis. The wadis are awkward. Desert roads, British Commonwealth command rules. So the stiff upper lip, the BCF ground unit that survives an enemy close assault combat without retreating and is down to a single figure may immediately battle that enemy back with a single battle die. It does not matter whether the unit began close combat as a single figure or was reduced to that single figure during the close combat attack. The battle back ignores all terrain battle dice reductions. The battle back may occur even if the close assault that triggered it was part of an armour overrun. A unit can never battle back during an ambush. And finally, the Italians get a bit of a look in. Ground units for the Italians benefit from the following. They get motorised divisions. While in short supply, Italian motor vehicles tend to be of better average quality. British Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery himself made use of some during his North Africa campaigns. In Memoir 44, all Italian ground units may retreat 1, 2 or 3 hexes for each flag rolled against them. Artillery bravery. Italian artillery units exhibited remarkable courage throughout the war. During the desert campaign, some of them would keep firing their obsolete guns at the enemy until they were literally overrun. In Memoir 44, all Italian artillery units may ignore 1 flag rolled against them. Got the North Africa desert rules. And then it's just sort of breakdown of the figures. The anti-tank gun. Looking at the Piat and what it does. Each time you run across a symbol when setting up a scenario, place the anti-tank on its place. We'll hit this for you, it's probably more relevant. An ordered infantry unit with an anti-tank gun may move 1 or 2 hexes, but it may not battle in a turn during which it moves, even if it only moved 1 hex. To battle, an ordered infantry unit with an anti-tank gun may battle any enemy ground unit 3 or fewer hexes away, rolling the same number of battle dice as a standard infantry unit would. In addition to the normal battle dice result, any star rolled scores a hit when targeting enemy armour. Line of sight, an enemy unit with an anti-tank gun must be able to see the enemy ground unit it wants to combat, like a standard infantry unit. Then we're into our tanks. Exit markers are in this one, so you can get out between them, get off the map, becomes a thing much more in this one. New obstacles, roadblocks, engineer badges, and then our scenarios. So there we go, Hellfire Pass. Did I miss one there? Nope, didn't. Felt like I flicked over 2 pages. You can see there, that one there is literally tanks. Tanks and 1 guy. 2 guys, in airfield. That's that. I sometimes use this one as a how to play scenario, actually, because it's just quite straightforward. It's probably the dullest in the book. Dug in at Omar. That's quite a nice one. I enjoyed that one before. Flanking maneuver at Heckham. Panzers versus Grunts. Armour to the rescue. Into the cauldron. And escape via the coastal road. There we go. So as I say, you can check out all of those in a lot more detail online. All the scenarios and that are available to pull down and get a proper look at at your leisure. But that at least now lets you see that. So that is it's all the shooty, trippy kind of stuff looked at. So the Winter Wars is much more of a change of style and a campaign. The Ardennes Offensive. Oof, there we go. Packing as much punch as the original Memoir 44 terrain pack, the Winter Wars expansion also manages to sneak in 114 new cards, giving a soldier all he might ever need to fight through some of the bitterest, coldest Christmas battles of the entire war. Contains a 32-page rulebook introducing new winter rules and containing 10 new scenarios, 6 standard, 4 breakthrough, covering the entire Battle of the Bulge. 14 summary cards introducing new tank destroyers, heavy anti-tank guns, late war versions of machine guns, mortars and bazookas. A deck of 80 combat cards specifically redesigned for breakthrough play. A deck of 20 winter combat cards and 88 double-sided winter tiles, 28 special unit badges, 20 round markers and 16 obstacles. Okay, so that kind of summarises that this is a game change box and sort of redraws everything you've known up to date and punches you in the face and goes, no, you must learn it all over again now. But again, specifically for breakthrough, and there's the nugget. Okay, Overlord, 2 maps side by side. Picture, yeah. Let's do a picture, an Overlord map, just to remind you. Okay, breakthrough is punching through a long board. Picture, okay. So in your core game, you have got one of these. For Overlord, you need 2 of these. For breakthrough, you need this whole board, which is a different type of board altogether. It's a different shape, it's a different size, it's a different hex count. Okay? The point being, buying Winter Wars is dependent on you being able to play breakthrough maps. That pretty much boils down to that and that alone. If you can get a breakthrough map, you're elected. Go for it. Have fun, because it's great. If you can't get a breakthrough map, well, the logic would be, if it's at a good price, buy it. It's interesting to read. You can get your head around what it's all about, and whenever you do get a breakthrough map, yeah, solid. But if it's not a good price, don't, would be my humble advice. Just don't. There's no point. We'll leave it at that and take a look inside, shall we? In terms of value for money, there's no denying this is a happy box, okay? And I suppose to counter the question of breakthrough boards, the other thing to bear in mind is there are other scenarios out there, and other scenarios that have been written by Days of Wonder, by Richard, and by fans that may well employ many of the tiles and tokens included in this set. So again, even without a breakthrough board, there may be mileage in it for you. But, you know, check. That's what we're saying to you. Check that you're going to be happy and that you're going to get value for it. I have not as yet been in a position where I've had to pay more than 20 quid for a set of Winter Wars. Maybe I'm lucky. Maybe that's the going rate. Maybe because it is specifically tailored to breakthrough, it's less desired and therefore more available. Don't know. We can debate that at length some other time. I don't even know how we're going to get this stuff out without everything tipping everywhere like a balloon. Looking at these cards, first of all, you've got your new command deck that is going to replace in the game the standard command deck that would be in base game, and these are very different. They're very pretty and shiny and all graphic and what's going on here, Andy? What's it all about? Tell us. Well, you know, if you buy it, you can read it. But very simply, the difference here is you're being told which sector this applies to, how many units, Order all units to the right flank. Okay, that's straightforward enough. Finest hour has a tweak in this one. Infantry assault, there we go. So, what you've got here is, again, this one is telling us that we're going to attack 3 units on that flank. Order 3 units plus 1 on the move. So we've got our 3 units, and this time the little guys in the middle are being highlighted instead of a map picture. It's highlighting one of the 3 figures to tell you which section of the map. But down here, if we've got a blue square with a number in it, it's telling us that we can order a unit on the move. And what that basically means is these guys can move and fight, but we can order another unit just to move. Order 3 units on the right flank plus 1 on the move. So you're getting to do a bit of fighting, but you're starting to get your guys mobile, getting them moving up the field a little bit faster. It speeds things up for you. And to be honest, that's the big trick. Okay, we really don't need to even read through anymore, because that is the big trick. Not enough of a big trick. This time they throw in combat cards. And the idea is that you will have a set number by the scenario of combat cards along with your command cards. And under the rules of the scenario, you can play a combat card in conjunction with a section card. And the combat cards do the cool cinematic kind of stuff. They, in this case, add the Winter War flavour to everything. Camouflage. Place a spare camouflage token in one order unit to X after the unit has moved under belt. Reinforcements. Frozen ground. Or up to 3 ordered units may move 1 hex more than their normal movement this turn. Units may be able to battle if eligible. Terrain movement to battle should still apply. Ambuscade. Infiltrators. Street fight. Reposition. After battling, all your ordered artillery units may move 2 hexes. Terrain movement restrictions still apply. Isn't that awesome? Yes, trust me, it is kind of awesome. Winter forest rules. Out of fuel. And this is classic Battle of the Bulge stuff. 1 enemy vehicle unit runs out of fuel. That unit may not move or battle this turn. Play this card when your opponent is moving a unit. This unit is returned to the hex it was on at the start of the turn. So now our wee tweak. You're being a bit more interactive with this one too. Heat of the battle, frozen ground, out of ammo, same sort of thing, out of fuel, fortify, spotters. All your ordered artillery units may battle with 1 additional die this turn. So that's quite cool. That's a big game change. In as much as the Commissar chip thing changes the standard game, boom. The combat cards brings in a whole lovely affair of doing cool new things if you haven't been doing that already. So, yeah, it is nice. Do you want to see some? We'll throw you some of the pros tiles. Now, to be honest, I think a lot of these you'll have seen if you've got the Eastern Front pack. But there's new ones, there's like railroads and stuff like that there. There is kind of other cool things in it too. And of course I would lift the first few that have nothing new and cool. Could just read what it specifically tells us is new. There's an awful lot of tiles to go through here for you folks. I don't know if we really want to waste your time doing that. Or just live with the fact that it's cool and just be cool with it. It's almost like you don't want to bother, Andy. It's almost like I don't want to bother, but I'm conscious of you and your time. More frozen forests, yeah. Oh, we got a frozen castle. That's kind of cool. See, there was cool things to show them. Shut up. But that we're probably going to get one cool thing a pile here the way we're going tonight. More roads, more villages than you can shake a stick at. Yeah, I think we've hit ground luck. Let's just check the back of the box in case we're. Double swing tiles. Yeah, it doesn't actually jump up and say a whole pile of new things about the winter tiles. So let's just assume they're kind of variations on what you'll have already seen before. With a couple maybe of, oh, that's new. Suffice to say, they're all very wintry. Felled trees over a pit, blocking off a railroad, frozen bridge, our lovely frozen bridge, lots of frozen bridges, frozen railroad bridge, frozen bunker. You get the theme here? Christmassy. Good for Christmas time. Trips are basically little information cards that break you down any of the kind of, that's a train car. That's actions. We've really done a number on this one. So there's trips. Okay, so it's telling you about half tracks, and it's a little special reference card for those. Long range patrol cars, how they work. Tank destroyers and heavy anti-tank guns. And then we get a new terrain one there. That one's about the castle. Action cards remind us about stuff you can do and what it means. So these are just to save you kind of going through the rulebook every time. If you're doing a scenario, it'll normally tell you in the reference cards, and you can just have them set out to the side of the map. So if anyone needs to take a quick look at them, they can check them fairly quickly, which would be the point of a quick look. And the special weapons assets cards just do the exact same thing for any of the cool weapons. Anti-tank guns, special weapons, mortars, and machine guns. Late war. So that's kind of cool. And then you can play Pokemon by trying to collect all of them. I discovered there's missing numbers in the series. Nobody seems to know where they are. But that's not your problem. That's just my mild OCD kicking in. Now the shrewd among you, the astute amongst you, will have noticed that Winter Wars on its back says that it's the follow-up to the train pack. So the train pack comes out first. Why have we not looking at it first? Because it doesn't matter. It's no big thing. Be cool. Don't need to get stressed out about stuff like that. Where's the train pack? What's the train pack, Andy? It's a pack filled with terrain. That's what it is. 66 terrain tiles, including roads, railways, marshes, waterways, mountains, palm forests, wadis, high ground. 22 landmark tiles, including supply depot, power plant, prisoner camp, radar station, lighthouse, airfield, barracks, cemetery, factory complex, fortress, North African villages. 20 round markers, including 10 minefields and decoys, 5 Italian and British medals, 6 crosshairs, 16 obstacles, including pontoons, rail and road bridges, and field bunkers, 28 special unit badges, including engineers, partisans, North African and Commonwealth troops, elite US and German and Italian British units, 4 historical scenarios showing the main new features, and rules describing these new terrain and game elements. So you've got your scenarios, and you've got all your existing stuff, and sometimes, there'll be things where you think, well, I could just use some of these other tiles just for more visual accuracy, more choice, more selection. If you're doing your Overlord maps, need more of a thing. So it's a bolster to everything as well. Like there's the dam, very nice, and then you can add that to your lake. Transformer station. Nor factory without snow, see, because we've seen the snow factory. More rivers, different little houses. That's the thing, you can mix it up, and if you're one of these people who's sort of, all my towns are the same, or all my, well, there you go. You get the train pack, and you can add that little bit more thing. Look at that. That's lovely. There's loads of them, forgot that. Our little village. Little huts, our little compound. So yeah, I think in all honesty, my terrain pack, there's a few more tiles, and there's more in these stacks as well, because you can see that it's like oodles of tiles. I think, to be honest, my terrain pack, as soon as I got it, sort of looked through it, just added it to the I've sort of got figure cases, I suppose, bits boxes, for all my Memoir components because I've got an awful lot of Memoir 44. I think I can now single-handedly run a tournament for up to about 20 people. And do events in school with kids and that too. Well, we did. Whether we will again, we'll wait and see. Let's stay positive on it. But yeah, I kind of merged. I've got one box which is essentially all hex tiles. And yeah, it maybe takes you a little bit longer going through, especially if you're looking for things. If you suddenly decide today you need the cemetery or something like that there, because again the hex tiles don't have a huge pile of logic to their double-sidedness. So I've kind of loosely done them that, you know, the white sides are all together regardless of what's with them. The desert sides are all together regardless of what's with them, and then everything else that's kind of green is pretty much together. Rulebook wise, move that over so we don't get dazzled again. So as you can see, there's a lot to read and find out about in this one as it takes you through. But there's the likes of your desert wadis again, your desert villages and oases, high ground, flooded fields, railroad station, mountains, railroad tracks, crossings over hills, headwaters, crosshairs, spot and artillery, factory complex, barracks, cemetery, church, lighthouse, fortress, airfield, sabotaging a dam. See? Do your dam busters. Well, kind of a dam buster. More like the guns in Aberone, really. Supply depot, power plant, prison camp, radar station, new obstacles and tokens, the various types of bridges, railway train. Railway train. I want to sing that song about trains, but I'm not going to. And then this time the nationality badges are chucked in, because up until this there wasn't a whole host of stuff. Then it starts going, hey, have some theme. But it is, I mean, it's theme, but it doesn't really change it. It's more to make you feel happy that you're using maybe the right kind of nationality, right team, right faction that you particularly want to, rather than changing the rules. British Special Forces, Polish troops, Yugoslavian partisans, Spanish Republicans, elite Italian assault division, Australians, New Zealand, Gurkhas, Chinese nationalist forces, German Rosette, Africa Corps, US 101, German engineers, Italian engineers, Royal Engineers, US engineers. And then we get some scenarios, because if we're going to give you all this stuff, you might as well have an excuse to play with it. And hello, desert. So, Knightsbridge, Market Garden, just tidy that up. Cross the River Roar, there we go. And of course that glaring reminder about desert boards. Curse you. And that's the train pack. So it's like an accessories box, I suppose. You know, doesn't change anything drastically. A couple of little scenarios tucked in there and back, and a few new bits and pieces to play with. But visual changes is the big thing there. It's like a skin. It's like adding a new skin. Are you bored yet? Then let's look at some boards. The Winter and Desert Board Pack. Isn't that exciting? And this is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a big desert board, and it's a big winter board, and it is the standard size out of the box as your core game mat. Okay? And it folds up the same. But it won't fit inside your core box, not without lifting it a little bit, but you can do it. Because you've got to protect it, because it doesn't come with anything to protect it. Okay? So do bear that in mind. Look after your boards, and they'll look after you for a lifetime, or quite some considerable length of time. These are not as yet ridiculously hard to get hold of. Again, the completist in me would say you'll want a minimum of 2, and no, you can't have any of my 6. But yes, you'll want a minimum of 2. An average, ordinary, sensible, logical person will want 2. Okay, so if you see them and they're there and you're thinking that seems like an okay price to me today, buy 2, and then run away and sing happily to yourself happy songs of deserts. The oft talked about, oft sought, oft glaring with the light breakthrough boards isn't this hefty. 2 sets of boards, that's why. 2 sets of double-sided boards. Countryside, beach, winter and desert. And 15 scenarios, as if it wasn't worthwhile enough. 15 scenarios. Bear in mind, you'll then need your Winter Wars to get your breakthrough style deck. You can do it with 2 standard decks combined. It tells you to do all that sort of stuff. Let's look at the little blurb in the back. Add depth to your game with the definitive Memoir 44 breakthrough kit. 2 super-sized, 2-sided, 9-panel hard-mounted breakthrough board maps featuring countryside, beach, winter and desert battlefields that measure an impressive 13 by 17 hexes. Include 15 breakthrough scenarios with such classics as Operation Crusader, Operation Amherst, and 2 different renditions of the Battle for Sword Beach. This expansion is not a standalone game and requires a complete copy of Memoir 44 and various expansions, depending on the scenario being played, to be enjoyed. So, you're warned. But if you see them, buy them. Again, though, I caution you about prices. I've seen these going for, in my humble opinion, silly money. Okay, this is, again, at retail, it's what, like it was a £30, £40 expansion, if that. I vaguely remember. You can double to triple that at the minute, depending on where you find them floating about. So you get your little forward, and then you're straight into the action, folks. And as you can see, the maps are elongated. So that does it. There's no point. There's literally no point in me opening these boards. I would have to put the camera in the garden to be able to get this all on shot properly, or move the tripod. And that requires me setting up a different shot. And again, I reiterate, I'm on my Todd, so live with the picture. You know what an ordinary board looks like? This looks like it the other way around, but bigger. So there we go. It's not that I don't love yous, it's just there's only so many hours to live. So yeah, these are a lot of fun. And that sounds awful to say, because this is probably the hen's teeth thing for you. I'm with you in spirit. Hunt. Keep emailing Days of Wonder, Asmodee. We want breakthrough boards. Reprint breakthrough boards, please. Please reprint breakthrough boards. And you never know. Sometimes stuff works. So yeah, these are just lovely. And this is more of the, if you've been playing Memoir at all and you've sat down, you've sort of, oh, we've played for half an hour. Oh, we've played for an hour. That's lovely. Hour and a half, couple hours. Depending on who I pick at the club, this could be the only game I get to play in a full. And that's not a complaint, it's a privilege. So yeah, these are just lovely. Check them out. Again, when you've gone through all the standard maps you can go through, and you still want more, and you've played Overlord, and you've kind of gone through that. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about it. Breakthrough is great. It's a different flavour of game. It's a different style of game. Same core rules, but with strong tweaks that make it a deeper game in more ways than one. But it's not essential. You're not going to have less of a Memoir 44 experience by not playing breakthrough maps. So I mean, if you're able to get your Overlord set up, get a couple of baseboards, whatever way you can, and a few of the standard expansions, you should be capable of having oodles and oodles and oodles of fun with that for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours before you need to worry. So breakthrough, yeah, if you can get it at the right price, if you see it, it's a good money and you're happy with what you're spending, then by all means grab it, and don't look back. But I wouldn't necessarily sit and sort of cry. Breakthrough maps are lovely. They are still probably, though, the least played. Standard map, base game sort of stuff, that's that kind of, you know, cup of tea. Well, we've got half an hour, let's play a game of affordable. We've got a bit of time this evening, but we want to get playing that game over there in the corner. So, you know, we'll play a big standard board map, or we'll play, you know, like an Eastern Front match or something like that there. We've got a bit of time tonight. We only want to dabble in that game over there. Do Overlord. And breakthrough is kind of more like it's just you and me, mate. Do a breakthrough map tonight, will we? Aye, we'll do a breakthrough map. And saying that, you'll probably still get playing both directions on it, and even, to be honest, we do tend to milk our gaming at that front. But there we go, folks. That's it. That's everything. That's us almost completely up to speed. As I say, our other videos that you can check out, wherever the links are going to appear shortly, will show you the new flight pack. There's no point us looking at the old flight pack. We've got one. We can let you see it sometime in a video if you'd like to know. Let us know in the comments if you want to see the old flight pack. We'll show you the old flight pack. You can check out the new one. We've looked at Operation Overlord already. I think we've done a playthrough of Pegasus Bridge, and we've looked at the core game as well. So there's not an awful lot left to show you. We do plan to do more playthrough videos because we just enjoy playing it, but current climate being what it is, we can only do so much. So there we go. Hopefully that has answered some questions for you. I realise that this has ran on for quite some time. I will try and edit this down to the bare bones as best as I can. And on that note, I will say goodbye. I will say thank you for watching. I will say hit subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have already, thank you. It means an awful lot. And if you've got time, nip over and check us out on Facebook. Give us a wee like there too. It's like a hug that you'd never actually have to give us. In the meantime, look after yourselves, have fun, and happy hunting for some Memoir 44 expansions.